All right, the Economic Development Commission will commence with its meeting of September the 23rd, Wednesday. It's now 7:07. And we'll start with a roll call. Paul, you want to take roll?
Thank you. We're waiting on Mr. Booth to join us. Ms. Clark is here. Mr. Johnson is here. Mr. Miners is here. Mr. Bedford has joined us. Mr.
Trevina Adams? Trevina Adams?
Trevina Adams has asked to be excused, so we will need a motion to excuse Ms. Adams.
The chair will entertain a motion to excuse Ms. Adams. She's on a trip with her family, I think.
I'd like to
Motion.
second it.
Who moves? Eddie second. Who moved?
Eddie the first, Rodney second.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
All right, Eddie, and then who seconded?
Ron,
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. No discussion needed. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. So, Paul, she is excused.
Thank you.
Okay, the minutes from the July 19th meeting. I have read the entire first page and did not find any errors. I'm sorry I didn't get to read the second page yet, but if anyone else has read the full, if they can make any recommendations or changes.
No changes needed.
We need a motion to accept as written.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the meeting notes as they're written.
We need a second. Chelsea Clark seconds. Any discussion? Chelsea, since you second, I hope you got to read the minutes. You did? Okay. You're wearing a mask and you're not talking. You're really being protective for us. Okay.
I have somebody in here, so I can't.
Oh, I see. I see. You're at your workshop. Oh. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Mr. Johnson made the motion and Ms. Clark seconded.
Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? None opposed. So the minutes are accepted as written. We will now move to the agenda. Chairman's report. I have a couple things to report. They're minor. Excuse me. For our breakfast awards dinner, I have made numerous attempts to contact Curtis Fuller at WLW. I have left messages with whomever answered the phone because I had left messages initially on his voicemail. And then I called and they said, well, I can put you in his voicemail. I said, do me a favor, can you take a note and put it on his desk? Because I've left some messages on his voicemail and he apparently isn't getting them. And then I got his email address and that was a struggle because it was rejected twice because someone gave me curtisfuller@hearst.com and I sent that and it came back administrative failure. And then I called in and they said, no, it's C. Fuller. So they said it's c.fuller@hearst.com. So I sent that got rejected and they said, no, there's no period, it's just C. Fuller. So I sent that. I copied Paul on the emails and it simply invites him and explains what the awards breakfast is for. And I just called at 6:45 to see if I could get him again. And they said, no, he's off today because he's working the weekends as anchor, so he's not in here certain nights during the week, so he's not in there. I left another message on his voicemail. So I just wanted everyone to know that uh, if someone else has another party that they would like to have MC the breakfast, I would be happy to contact them. And but I think Curtis Fuller would be a really good headliner for us to have. So we'll just find out what happens. But I would think by next month's meeting, if he
I-
hasn't responded, we should pick a different candidate. Anybody else have any
I,
discussion on
I-
that?
if I'm not mistaken, someone else can correct, Paul would probably know, but I'm pretty sure that he is in a transition of some sort. Like, so there was a message that I read about just career transition. And a lot of people were responding to it.
Oh, that's news to me. You may be right.
What we can do, Ed, is we've done this before with some of the other MCs. Sometimes it's better to work with like the station manager, the news director, to
Well, I
work with the
called-
station manager or the news director.
I left a message for community affairs to call me as well, but I
Okay,
haven't heard anything
Well,
from them.
because the other thing is right now we won't have a date probably until later in the year. So what I would suggest is we go ahead and if Mr. Fuller contacts you, we move forward with that. But if not, we may want to wait till we actually have the date in line, whether that's February or March. And that still gives us time at the end of the year to try to reach out to somebody.
I agree. And I left him know we did not have a firm date, and I apologize for that. But I said, due to COVID, we're restricted in what we can do right now, and we may not even be able to have that breakfast because there's 130 people in it. I think the governor is allowing up to 200 or 300 people now for certain events. Can anybody comment on that, right or wrong?
I think that might be outside events. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you're allowed to do that inside yet.
I think it
Anyone
depends
else?
on the area. It depends on the space. It
Okay,
depends on the space.
Well, I was going to input that. I know we're trying to find like a wedding venue for my son and his fiance. And I think it's a couple of things. If the room can hold like 200 people, they said with the new social distancing law, the most you can have is like between 115 and 120. So part of the thing that's going to make the difference is going to be the capacity times what is going to be safe, 6 feet distancing based on the capacity of the room or facility.
okay. So this is pretty much up in the air unless anyone wants to continue a discussion about the breakfast. That's all I wanted to report.
What skill set are you looking for that particular venue? Do they have to be a TV personality, or what are some other things you're looking for?
Well, we've had radio DJs, we've had newscasters. Help me out, Paul. Mr. Brem, who else have we had?
Ron, typically in the past, we've tried to invite someone with a media background. So sometimes it's not only one of the reasons we try to do TV or radio is that hopefully not only do we get their expertise at the event, but hopefully we get them to help us publicize the event going in and also the award winners after. So that's one of the reasons we sometimes try to make that connection, because then at least on their newscast, they'll at least mention the event, maybe mention the award winners.
I don't know what channel she's on, but Mona Morrow, who's she on the air with? But doesn't she come on like at noon?
Yeah, WCPO, I think, and we've worked with Mona in the past.
I wonder if we could contact her.
That's a definite possibility.
I would like to do what Paul suggested a moment ago, defer that notification until October. And
Okay.
then I'll send something to Mona, and then we'll have 2 in the pipeline then.
Okay.
And I'll delicately and politely inform her that due to scheduling conflicts and so forth, we actually have alternative choices. And Paul knows how to, Mr. Brem knows how to handle that uh, as well as I do or better for the breakfast. And we can word something up that'll make it a very polite invitation, but let her know that someone else might be in a pipeline too because of the scheduling conflicts and COVID and whatever else we want to use for an excuse.
Okay.
Thank you, Ron.
I
And
was going
then,
to say, she and I, we were like college together in the 70s. Shows my age. Long time
Oh.
ago. So
oh, yeah. Oh, interesting. Huh. Okay. Um, two other comments that I had. Um, the election is November the 3rd, and I will be working that day at the polls again. And you should know that on the ballot again, and it will be until it passes, the school levy is on there again. So you need to think about that and vote accordingly. And then I had one other comment that I didn't write down. And I'll just wait till it hits me later on. And so that's the end of my report. Oh, the Chamber of Commerce update. That's what it was. I didn't have anything from the chamber to report. Paul, can you input anything regarding that?
Just that the chamber did hold their annual golf outing. Now, because of
Right.
everything that's going on, they had to do this a little bit differently this year. There weren't as many people allowed on the golf course, so instead of 100 people, they probably had about 50 or 60. But the important thing about this is the chamber actually does this event not only to raise money for the chamber, but they have a scholarship fund for graduating seniors from Winton Woods High School. And this year, I believe it was four, they gave awards to four different graduating seniors from Winton Woods High School as part of the event. It was unfortunate because of COVID and all of the meeting restrictions, we couldn't have kind of the awards dinner that they typically have and make that announcement. But the chamber did make those awards. And they did raise some significant money for next year's scholarship fund. So it was overall, it was a very good event. And I have to say, even though they were not allowed to have as many golfers, they actually got more money in sponsorship money to help the scholarship fund. So it was a good event.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, council liaisons report. Council Lady Herbie.
We just started back after the recess last Monday, and everything was really routine and below the line, except for one issue, which is the solid waste collection fees are increased 50 cents per service. The full service goes to $19, which is 19 cents more than what full service cost in 2008, 12 years ago. And the cost of the Eco Tier and of the rental for 96-gallon containers is still less than it was in 2008. So we are doing the best to try to be prudent in terms of keeping costs down for our citizens. And I think that's commendable after 12 years. So that's really, except for what's going on through economic development in the city, which I'm sure Paul will tell us about. So.
Thank you, Council Lady. The director's report, Mr. Brem.
Yes, for the commissioners, I do reference the written comments that I submitted to you prior to tonight's meeting. I will let you know that we have probably about $20 million of economic development work underway here in the city. That's even in the midst of a pandemic and the midst of some of the challenges that are associated with that. We have two manufacturing projects that are underway that were previously announced, both at Faxon and Bag and Machine. You may recall, we just toured the Faxon facility. They actually received a Department of Defense contract last year that they actually estimate will probably bring anywhere from 150 million to 200 million dollars of business to the company over the next 6 to 7 years. So this is a major defense contract. They've done a lot of work with DoD. It's helped the company stabilize. They've added 60 jobs as a result of that project already. So Faxon is up probably close to 145, 150 positions. It's really done a lot to help not only stabilize that company, but position it for future growth. So we're very happy with Faxon's progress. Magna Machines started work on the Southland Road facade of their $4 million project over at what was the former North Point Shopping Center. You may have also noticed they put a new sign up, which looks a lot better than what we had there previously. So we're very pleased with the progress that we're seeing over at Magna. We've got the 2 office projects that are underway at Emeritus. Obviously, there's the $7 million renovation by Emeritus itself that keeps 600 jobs in the community. We are also proud, as you all know, we had a second tenant involved with that project, with the renovation being conducted by Emeritus. I am happy to report that that lease has been signed, and our understanding is that that's going to bring between 300 and 400 new jobs to Forest Park as a result of that project. If you look around the Beltway, there are very few communities that are touting any type of office development work right now. We have 2 major office projects underway that collectively are going to account for $10 million in business investment and approximately 1,000 jobs, anywhere from 900 to 1,000 jobs. So we're very, very pleased with where we're at on that front. We are also still moving forward with the project at the former FitWorks building. As all of you know, we discussed that at a previous meeting. City Council passed the incentive recommendation that we had for Kid Coffee to come in and do that project. My understanding is that the good people at Kid Coffee have secured their project financing from the Small Business Administration. That project is now moving forward. We hope to see some work start on that relatively quickly. They are also talking to a couple other specialty retailers about subleasing some of that space. If we're fortunate and everything turns out the way we think it's going to, I think in 2021 we're going to see what had been a vacant building converted into a very nice community project that's going to consist of 2 or 3 really high-end users. And I think it's going to be a really good addition to the community. When you think that we've got the Kroger $3 to $4 million renovation going on across the street, this really starts to, I think, signal that at least our retail on the Winton Road corridor has stabilized, and we're seeing some improvement there. So we're very pleased with those projects. The only other project I had to report on was the Waycross Reserve project. We did talk about this at our last meeting. My understanding is most of the lots have been pre-sold. Those houses start at roughly around $300,000. And I think it says something about the community that we can, even in the midst of this pandemic, we can see $20 million of business investment. We can see $300,000 plus houses going up. And we can see all of this activity. It shows what our strengths are now. Don't get me wrong. We've got challenges in front of us. We've got some big challenges ahead of us, but we feel really positive about where we're heading. One thing that I will leave you with this evening is I anticipate that we are going to be able to announce in the near future that we may have a buyer for the remainder of the Promenade Shopping Center. You may recall that Promenade is actually divided into 2 parcels. The one parcel is the old FitWorks building. That's the project we've been working on with the coffee company. Now we're talking about the remainder of the shopping center. We have been working with one of our private sector partners that's done a lot of business in Forest Park previously, a good developer with a solid background, well connected in the greater Cincinnati community. And they have submitted a bid to acquire the Promenade Shopping Center. We are confident that's going to come about. I don't want to mislead you. It's not a done deal yet, but we feel very confident. And if that happens, I think we have an opportunity within a very short time frame to convert that entire block into a productive community asset. So we're very, very excited about where we're heading there. We've obviously made some progress on Northland. Again, I don't want to overemphasize the fact we still have challenges in front of us. We want to do something with the Hamilton Waycross corner. We want to do something with the Northland Tower property, and of course, the big, elephant in the room. We want to try to get something done at Forest Fair. In all of these cases, it's important to note they are privately owned properties. So the onus and the burden for their redevelopment rests with the private property owner who owns the property. We can only do so much. And for instance, we've talked about it with the mall redevelopment. The last time we redeveloped Forest Fair Mall with the Mills Corporation, that was a $100+ million project. It's going to take private sector investors to make these projects work with some help from the public sector, but it's going to take primarily a private sector investor with the capabilities, both financial and managerial, to come in and take these properties to the next level. But I think these projects we're talking about demonstrate we can get it done. And quite honestly, we talked about this at the last meeting. Going into this year, coming out of when we got back into the office in May, I really was not anticipating this much activity through the end of the year. I'm really happy with where we're at right now. It's not that we don't have work in front of us, but given the environment we're operating under, we are making some significant progress.
I would like to, since you took a breath, I would like to say, you know what, thank you so much, Paul, for the amount of work that you've put in, because a lot of that stuff, in the deals and negotiations, and even the bug in certain businesses' ear had to have been made years, prior to where we are right now. And had you not been persistent in kind of keeping those things in front of them and being strategic about increasing our, position and membership with certain partners that could help with these redevelopment acts, I just don't think that we would be seeing the flurry of activity we're seeing, which is why you plan, in the off season, so to speak. And I think it's really worked to our benefit. So just thank you. That's all.
Well, thank you, Councilor Clark. I would also like to thank you and Councilor Herbie and City Council, because as we all know, you set the policy agenda for the city. And
Do whatever Diane tells me to do.
the city council members, past and present, have been very supportive of our economic development program. And for a community such as ours, that support is needed. And it's not always easy. There's always unforeseen consequences with some of these programs. So I want to thank City Council for their support as well. The second item under my report, Mr. Chairman, is the Jobs Ohio Vibrant Communities Program. This is a new initiative that the state of Ohio has rolled out. And the only reason that I bring it up is that it actually is kind of modeled in some ways off of some of the work we've done on Northland Boulevard. Part of that program is designed to provide communities such as ours with dollars to reposition underperforming commercial properties, especially retail properties. So this actually, in addition to being a new program, could be a resource for us to reposition, for instance, Promenade Shopping Center and ultimately Forest Fair Mall down the road. So we are meeting with some of our contacts in Columbus to see if what the parameters are going to be for that new program. And we're actually kind of excited. The state of Ohio, I have to say, for those of you who've been around us for a while, the state of Ohio has always been a good partner for us, but they've always been a little conservative, I think. In the last probably 4 to 5 years, the state of Ohio has really stepped forward and really tried to make an impact with programs such as this. You might recall they put about $150,000 into the Magna project. We got a $150,000 grant from the state of Ohio for the fax and machining project. I can tell you 10 years ago, we wouldn't have seen anything from the state of Ohio for those types of redevelopment deals. So we're very excited about this new program. I just wanted to make you aware of it because I think we may see ourselves using this program in the near future. And that would conclude my report.
Thank you, Paul. We'll move into unfinished business. Item A, Forest Park Small Business COVID-19 Relief Program. Go ahead, Paul, take that away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to once again thank council, especially Councilors Clark and Herbie, for their support and really drive to put this program in place. You might recall that we used some of the CARES Act funding to set up a small business relief fund. I am happy to report that we have 10 applications approved for this program at this point. We may see one or two more. One of the things we kind of heard was that a lot of the small businesses had actually taken advantage of some of the other federal, county, and state programs, but we were able to find some companies that were in need. Like I said, we have 10 companies involved that are going to receive a total collectively of about $18,000 out of this program fund. We came up with a scoring mechanism so that we could be fair in how we allocated those dollars. And we did either $1,000 or $2,000 grants. And these are grants. These are not loans. They do not have to be paid back. They are designed to help these small businesses get through this current environment. I'm happy to report that 7 of the 10 businesses are minority or women-owned businesses. So we were able to try to find some of those folks and help them. We also targeted several of our restaurants. Restaurants in particular were hard hit by the pandemic. So a number of our award winners are restaurants. So I feel very good about where we're at with this program. And again, I think we're making an impact with the businesses that truly needed some help to get through this environment. So I congratulate and thank council on their direction and their leadership in putting this program together. I know Councilor Clark, this was one that was near and dear to your heart. So thank you so much for your support. And I think it is making an impact. I can tell you the businesses that are involved are very appreciative. We had, of those 10 businesses that are receiving awards, 2 or 3 of them I think are actually home-based businesses. Home-based businesses had difficulties acquiring dollars from other programs. We did allow for home-based businesses to apply for this program, provided they could demonstrate that they were registered, both with our tax department in the state of Ohio as a business, and were, incorporated as such, either as a partnership or sole proprietorship or something of that nature. We did have several home-based businesses that we were able to help with these dollars.
May I ask how many applications came in?
We actually only had 11 or 12 applications come in. And we had to do some work to try to publicize the program. We put it on our Facebook page, on our website. We did try to get some word out to the media, and honestly, I don't think it was picked up very well. We did do, I did an online, almost like a talk show. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of one it's called Plugged In. It's with Toya Montgomery. Toya is a minority-owned business owner here in the greater Cincinnati area. She heard about our program and put it on her program. Fortunately, that actually led to one of the applications that came in. So I was happy that it led to that. But honestly, I think part of this was we were maybe a little late in the game for some folks. I think some folks had already secured dollars, and even a couple of our applicants contacted me and said, if somebody else needs this money, I'm okay. And it was kind of like, no, we want to help you as a Forest Park business person. You've demonstrated the need. We do have enough resources. And again, this was part of the CARES Act funding. One of the things, Councilor Clark, this may come up and Councilor Herbie at a council meeting, because that is CARES Act money, one of the reasons we didn't want to leave this program just kind of open-ended is because we do need to use those resources by a date and time, and I don't know what that date is, but I know the city manager wants to take a look at what other eligible uses might be available in the community. So you may want to give that some thought because it may be a discussion that city council has on how we can utilize the rest of those CARES Act dollars. We don't want to lose them.
Okay. Item B under unfinished business, you touched upon that before with Kid Coffee and that, Paul. Did you want to add anything else to that? Item B under unfinished business?
No, actually, I think, Ed, I did touch upon that. I think we're good. Yes. Yeah, so I think we can go on to new business.
Okay, on to new business, and Paul, you have the floor again. Commercial real estate firm for city-owned properties.
Paul, you're muted.
I don't want to take too much time on this particular item, but I did want to let everybody know that we are looking at the selection of a commercial real estate property advisor to help us market city-owned properties acquired as part of our redevelopment program. You may remember that we have acquired probably over 30 acres of ground quietly over the past 10 years. We've used county and federal money to remove some blighted buildings on those properties and created project-ready sites. I think after discussions with the city manager and our development team, Chris Anderson, our planning director, we've collectively concluded that in order to move these properties along, we need to hire a commercial real estate company to help us market them. We've had a couple of companies that have expressed interest. We've sent out a formal request for qualifications. This is not really an RFP because we wouldn't be expending city money with the exception of if they sell a property, we would be paying the commercial real estate commission. That's pretty consistent with everybody. So it's about 6% real estate commission for those projects. So we wouldn't be expending any resources beyond the commissions, and that's based on the sale of the property. But we did want to do a formal RFQ where we could get qualifications. Not surprisingly, we had a couple of major companies that declined to participate because they are representing properties in neighboring communities. So if they have property in Springdale, they have property in Colerain Township, they're representing, they didn't want to necessarily be competing not only with properties there, but then if they have a prospect come in, they didn't want to pit one community against another. I do anticipate that we are going to have a recommendation for council sometime in October. And I just want to make the commission aware of that. It's something we talked about in the past. I am actually happy we're moving forward with this because we need to move these properties along. To give you an idea, we did an appraisal for some of the retail property in town, including ours. You could probably expect to see anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 an acre potentially for that property. Now, we may incentivize a project by discounting the price of the land to try to get what we want on these sites, but still, it should, if we can move these properties along, we could be able to inject some dollars into the city budget that should help us moving into 2021 and 2022.
Paul, do you know if that includes the property of the old gas station on Waycross and Northland?
Yes,
Because I
it
know
does.
I know there were restrictions on what could go in there because of it being a gas station.
Yes, and it does. And now what we may look to do, we've talked about this in the past, that particular piece of ground, we may, if we're able to sell the other properties we have on Northland Boulevard, and we have 640, 660, and 680 Northland in our portfolio. We removed vacant blighted buildings from all of those sites. If we're able to acquire, if we're able to move those properties along, we've talked about maybe creating some type of a gateway element at that corner that would lead you into the business district. So it may not be a business, but it may be some type of a gateway feature that opens up the whole Northland Business Corridor.
Anybody else, any questions regarding the topic here? If there being none, Paul, you want to talk about the Business of the Month awards?
Yes, as many of you know, every month for the past 4 decades, we've recognized a business as our Business of the Month. Now, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we had to postpone that program for several months. Beginning in October, we'd like to go ahead and restart the Business of the Month program. And we'd like to go back and recognize a select handful of companies that were maybe of particular assistance during the pandemic so far for the months that we missed. So we basically have to go back to April of this year and recognize companies from April through October then. I have a list of companies that we are looking at. Dr. Wilson and Mercy Health, they've provided some assistance to our fire and life safety folks. Kroger has provided some assistance and assisted with our pop-up grocery things and that. Shooter's Restaurant has provided some assistance. I think Councilor Clark, I think you recommended Shooter's. They are in that mix. Home Depot has done some work with our folks in terms of helping out with residents during the pandemic. And then we wanted to recognize a couple of companies that are not pandemic related, but companies that are celebrating anniversaries or work here in Forest Park. Wild Birds Unlimited and Cincinnati Testing Labs, both of whom are celebrating anniversaries this year. So we were kind of going with that short list as a way to catch ourselves up. We would formally make those announcements at the October meeting and at least get back on track with that program. As we roll out our new website, we would probably look to do some summaries of all of those award winners and put them on the new website as we go out with that product. So I just wanted to make all of you aware of that. And if anyone has suggestions for the businesses of the month, please forward those to me because we're very interested, especially this year, in trying to highlight those companies that may have helped out or provided some assistance during this crisis that we're all going through.
If I recall correctly, in our last meeting, didn't we also talk about potentially highlighting some community entities, whether they be nonprofits or whatnot, that were kind of helping Forest Park get through some things? Was that I think the question was about whether it be in conjunction with or separately. Is that, do you recall that?
I think we had talked about doing something separately, and I think we had talked about maybe doing that at the business recognition dinner, and actually making that a component of the business recognition dinner. Councilor Clark, I actually love that idea because I think we could add that as an ongoing component to the business recognition dinner. We could have a community-based award or 2 or 3, depending on the year, that we could recognize those groups at that event. And honestly, I think our businesses would be appreciative of that. We're very fortunate. A lot of them are actually involved with groups like that. So I think it would be a way to call attention to the work that everybody's doing. So I think it's an excellent idea. I think it's almost probably we can give them a little more publicity and bang for the buck if we do it at the business recognition breakfast every year.
All right, thank you. Item C, Minority Business Assistance Initiative. Chelsea, we received your email, or at least I saw it at about 7:50.
Yeah, it was like just now, so I apologize.
So I talked to
I do
Paul.
apologize about that. I'm gonna go ahead and just give it to you verbally, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, great, excellent. And once again, fellow commissioners, I do apologize. I am trying my best. I'm pulling in late evenings here at the lab, and it is, trying our level best with kids on virtual and multiple platforms, and trying to get stuff together. So I do apologize. I've been a little slower than usual. So two things have emerged very specifically. I'm going to begin with Mortar. I don't know if any of you have heard of Mortar, but Mortar is a Cincinnati-based organization founded by Alan Woods and some partners of his, and they are basically an incubator of sorts that really have been established in order to help minority businesses gain footing to, one, either establish their idea as a business, to launch their business, or to expand, or, you know, kind of the whole gamut of those things. So what they do, they have a 15-week, what is called a cohort. And in this cohort, which you have to apply for, they accept anywhere from 15 to 20 folks in this cohort, and you experience 15 weeks of very business strategy, financial strategy, and all sorts of different elements that will essentially bring you from that idea phase into actually launch, and then hopefully into what is a brick and mortar location, so that you can hopefully employ people, etc. And so that program, I am a graduate of that program. And so I think it does a lot. When you complete the program, you then compete against all of your other businesses that are regional. We had 30 folks, so we had 15 in my cohort, 15 in the other. And so I competed against 29 other companies in the region, all of us at various phases. And I ended up winning the Judge's Choice Award. So what that came with was a small capital purse, which allowed me to actually, help to open my business. And so they have that award. They also have the like team award, and then they have a bunch of other insular services and resources that you can choose from. Some of those are getting free. Like I get free legal advice and free legal documentation from Frost Brown and Todd, because I am an alumni of this organization. And not only that, but tax assistance, and I mean, the list goes on, and you get those services, as well as even the marketing bundle I was able to get for free, so that they could help with the website and all my business cards and all that stuff. So you get all those things, and you've got 18 months past your graduation. So it's a really exceptional program. I think it's really fitting and would be excellent to have, of course, here in Forest Park. Of course, it would attract some other folks, but we would also try to see if we can get them to open their business here, even though they may not necessarily live here. And this would be the first time that they actually venture out past greater Cincinnati, or out past Cincinnati proper, rather. And so, so I spoke with Alan and encouraged him to consider our amazing city for their next site. And so I did get word that they had talked to the board, and there's some other folks that they have to run this by, and we have got a green light. So they definitely want to bring that here for spring of 2021. What it would look like, or what they would need from us, is, one, the space. So, I mean, Paul, y'all, that business location library, it can't come fast enough. Okay. So we do need to be able to provide a physical space for them, which they would utilize one time per week for 15 weeks. That's all. They would want that space to be able to have access to a space, or that space, for at least 2 to 3 years, because this is all about sustainability as well. You want to be able to bring in other ones, like alumni will go back and teach certain classes and things like that, and host all sorts of different other events. And then also a match. So it's about $25,000 for them to put on that program for that amount of time, which I think is actually pretty extraordinarily reasonable for the amount of work you get, books and people that you get, speakers that come in all sorts of different elements of the industry that will help you with very targeted things. And so what they would do is match whatever we can provide. So they're hoping to see $12,500, and they'll match the rest of it. So we don't even have to pay for the full thing. which I think is, again, absolutely phenomenal. So there's that one element. I'm happy to announce that. The second is with Black Achievers. So as you know, I'd been, reaching out and having some conversations with different minority business entities and resource folks. And I do think that this would be the premier and absolute best. This organization was founded by Michael Moore. Michael Moore is native to Cincinnati. He founded it, I think it's 4 to 10 years ago, something like that. Anyhow, it's got over 27,000 folks in the network. So what they do, and that's nationwide. There are 4,000 though in the network here that are in Cincinnati. The mission is to, build Black professionals who can work to make the world essentially a better place for everyone to live. Although it's simplistic, it can be very challenging to do when you're kind of really separated in industry from a lot of folks. So their tactics are getting people together, not only for networking events, but also for very targeted and specific workshops. So because the network is so large, you've got P&G executives, you've got folks that have been in business 30 years with their own, you name it, insurance company, what have you. And so you also get benefits as a member. So I could become a member for $20 a year. And I get even reduced, self-employment insurance, all sorts of things like that, different connections and stuff. But what's really the best part of it is the direct networking ability that you're able to have with very high level professionals. So they put on a number of different events. They've gone virtual. I've been to their events. They are always packed and sold out. If you go to that website and you see all those people moving around and stuff, that link I sent, it is like that at every single event. They violate every COVID rule you can think of because it's packed. Of course, they're not doing that now, but it would. And so I think that for some of the topics that would be most pressing to folks here in businesses would be certainly financial management. A lot of folks are struggling with cash flow. If you do have cash flow, how are you best going to use it? How are you going to make sure that we get through these last few months with such a changing landscape? Strategizing through the pandemic, does that mean, in what ways does your business need to change, and what models should you, adopt or maybe, do away with? Networking in very specific industries. I've found that for my company, I've had to make some changes in who we partner with. And so we're now very focused on certain partnerships that kind of keep us more relevant, not necessarily all about the sales now. And resource generation through people and access to other capital, because there's a flurry of grant and money activity, but it can be overwhelming, and you really have to be kind of strategize in terms of how you're going to go after those dollars and how you get access to them. So they would do virtual events. I think that it may make sense to do a series of virtual events versus just one or even two to you kind of got to get Forest Park folks kind of into it. I don't think that we would have clearly as much traffic, but what I think would happen is we'd be pulling, from surrounding places, but I think it would get us started in the vein and in the spirit of, hey, you gotta come on board with, higher level business acumen in order to be successful in this climate. And, even when we get back to normal, and how do you actually go about doing that, and kind of putting us in a position where we're much more relevant, put it that way. And so there is a cost for, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Finish up.
Sorry, I'm almost done. Promise, almost done.
Finish up.
And then there is a small investment cost to that with the speakers, and depending on if you're in person, which obviously we wouldn't be in person, but it's anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. And I think that we can actually, I don't think that we should even have to, I mean, it'd be great if we invested that ourselves, but I think that we can, like I said previously, reaching out to our community partners and get sponsorship from different ones, because that would also be able to be shown through their logo and their support on on the information that they send out. And then just lastly, I am working with seeking the Hispanic community resources as well, and have some contacts and some things out there that trying to bring into the fold. That's all I got.
I
Okay.
found a contact with Women's Network Entrepreneurs. It's eWomen's Network. I can send you the contact information for that. I was also trying to contact the Hispanic Chamber of Cincinnati, and the email address and the telephone number that I have is not good. So I was going to try to call the Ohio Network and see if they know what's going on in Cincinnati. But
I kind of had to go through backdoor through LinkedIn for
yeah,
for Hispanic,
Yeah.
because that none of that
Yeah.
stuff worked.
but I do have the a contact with a eWomen's entrepreneurial network, and it's worldwide.
That is awesome. Also Women 100. Yeah, Women 100 is also on the list.
Yeah.
They do, they're Cincinnati based, but those women, whoo, they are awesome.
Yeah, this
Like,
is the Cincinnati contact that I'll send you.
okay, thank you so much.
Okay,
Anybody
yeah.
else have any comments, concerns, criticisms?
I have,
When you're,
Jessica,
Go
I have
ahead.
the
I'm
Jessica
sorry.
Miranda, our state representative, she had a connection with the Hispanic community and their, I forgot what else they had, but did you already get in contact with her to see what connection she had?
I didn't get in contact with her. I went through my LinkedIn
Oh.
network and went that way.
Okay,
But that's a great resource as well. I will
if
I
you
will
probably
certainly
visit her tax place over there, I bet she'll give you the information.
Oh, absolutely. That's a
yeah.
good idea.
Fiesta.
Eddie, did you have a comment?
I do. Chelsea, as you get going into this with Mortar, it sounds as though you're looking at potentially needing a space to be able to host part of what they're doing with Mortar. We have that space, the training center that's adjacent
Yes,
to La
you
Rosa's.
do.
So feel free to let me know if that's something you guys are interested in, or if you know any other use for that. At this point, it's only getting used about 2 days a month right now. So
wow.
it would be a great place to be able to host something, and it already has the tables, the chairs, and the audio and visual that's already there.
Would you be charging for that?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, corporate technically has the lease on it, but in a situation such as that, I mean, they're basically just keeping the lights on in the joint, and we pretty much take care of the rest of it. If that's something that's needed, I am absolutely positive that they would look what they could to help support Mortar.
Wow.
That's good.
Chelsea, along that line, I was gonna ask, how big does that space need to be? Would Eddie's space accommodate it, or we need something the size of the senior citizen center, or what?
No, it's the first cohort will be just about 15 people. It's not. So you need maybe space for 20 with their presenters and business advisors.
We would host
I
our
think
franchise
that-
meetings there where you'd have well over 100 people inside that space.
On Northland Boulevard,
Wow.
we have 100 people in
That
there.
space is deceiving.
You're not
Wow,
talking about the,
it's not
Ed, we're
bad.
not talking about the dining room. We're talking to the training center that's
Training.
adjacent
Yeah,
to it. And
I
the
understand.
inside that building, it runs the entire depth, almost the entire depth of the building from front to back. So
Okay.
it has, I mean, with the tables and chairs and some of the stuff that's in there, there's absolutely seating for 100-ish, we'll say, for sure.
Wow.
Counselor
Okay.
Clark, Mr. Chairman. One thing I would like to suggest is that we are right now going through our budget process. As Councilor Clark and Councilor Herbie know, one of the things that we've talked about is potential ways that we could help assist with minority business development. I mentioned to Don, the city manager, Don Jones, that this was a discussion that had come up at the Economic Development Commission. Honestly, we've never had an organized program of work for minority business development specifically. It's embarrassing in a way. So I think that these are two initiatives with the Black Achievers and with the possibility of working with Mortar. I think that, I'm going to talk to Don about getting some dollars in our budget for this. It might be matching money that we try to find outside sources, but I'm with Councilor Clark. I don't think we're going to have problems identifying partners in this type of process. I think these are both initiatives that we can get done and get done for 2021. So if it's okay with the commission, I was going to include this as part of the budget proposal that we make to the city manager and city council for economic development for next year.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions relative to this topic or comments? If none, Chelsea, I want to address something else regarding your STEM program. Are you still at the same venue on Kemper and Chester?
Unless you know of 6,000 square feet elsewhere, let me know.
Well, the reason I'm asking, I don't know if any other of the commissioners were able to attend one of your sessions, but if no one has, or has anyone attended? No? Well, if you haven't, I would suggest you try to go down and visit her during one of her training sessions because it's very interesting and she puts on a good session. So it's right down near Wendy's on Sharon, across from McDonald's there. It sits back though. It's hard to find if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. But I would suggest you get down and sit in on one of her. She has an hour session at various nights of the week. And it's pretty interesting. And I enjoyed my visit down there some time ago.
Well, Ed hasn't come by, but he helped with supplying some gift cards, and it's so funny that that little girl that ended up winning that gift card for the engineering challenge, when she got over to Bethany, they welcomed all the new students, right? And they had all the new students come down on the floor of the gym. She doesn't even say the STEM lab. The little girl, she says, and I got a little Rosa's card for engineering the splash slide. I was like, how did you get the card? So yeah, she was ecstatic and she was so excited about that card. And then of course the pandemic hit and now, but we'll be calling back.
All right, moving into discussion. Does any of the commissioners have anything that they want to discuss? Paul, will we be having a meeting in October? You said you were uncertain about that.
Mr. Chairman, yes, I think actually we probably will plan on a meeting in October. I would suggest we go ahead and do October, probably November, and then hopefully we won't have to meet over the holidays. So let's go ahead and keep the October meeting on the agenda, and we'll plan for that for October.
Okay, that'll be great. And then separately, I'm not sure what we want to do about a Christmas get together this year. We usually have a gathering. Last year it was at Trevina's. It was really a great
That
time.
was fun.
With this COVID, I'm not sure how we want to handle that. So next month we'll want to discuss that. So everybody think about a possible venue and, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm thinking we should be able to have it, shouldn't we, Paul?
I wouldn't want to venture a guess at this point.
Ed, we are not coming around you. We are not gonna hurt you. I love you, Ed. I'm not gonna do that. But I think we could always do a Christmas in July or a party in July or something.
Yeah.
And then we can break out our hula skirts and you can, we can have a great time.
I will tell you, Councilor Clark brings up a good point. A lot of the events that I know that were planned on the business side are doing exactly that. They're moving things to the spring or summer of next year and trying to plan something that, you know, hopefully by that point we're at least moving much closer in the right direction. So I think that's probably where we'll end up, but we could just play it by ear and see. But I think we're probably looking at spring or summer.
Okay, great. Unless anyone else has any comments or questions.
I will also just give a shout. I know I'm full of it, you guys, but I will just give a shout out to Paul. So he had me on his show. I don't know if you ever watch, but on Wednesdays, and there's other times that he does it, but he actually will highlight minority businesses and what they're doing and going on in the community. And it was really nice. So, you know, I get good feedback from that and I appreciated that. So thanks for that.
Paul Booth, correct?
Yes,
Booth.
Paul Booth.
Okay, okay.
I was actually wondering the same thing myself.
Paul's he's much more handsome than I am, so it must have been him. I wouldn't have a TV show.
Swear to goodness, though, you put a goatee on him and some glasses,
Brady,
put him back a little bit. I don't know.
All right, for some reason, we got a frozen screen here. Are we shut down?
I think his just sat down.
Oh, okay. All right, if there's nothing else, I think we should adjourn unless anyone wants to say something. So
I
Nick,
love the numbers that Paul gave tonight about the growth of the city. I've been here since 1986. It is really just like music to your ear to hear what these guys are doing. So congratulations to them and to the city council, especially for pulling off these kind of numbers during this pandemic. That is very impressive. That is, wow. I don't know what to do, but you guys should get some kind of recognition from the community. It's all we hear is bad news. Boy, if you got that kind of news out, that would be so encouraging. That is really impressive what you guys have done. Glad to be an actual part of it.
I will mention that we're talking about grants. The Environmental Awareness Committee is applying for a grant from a Volkswagen settlement to bring electric vehicle charging stations to the municipal parking lot.
Nice.
oh, that's interesting.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's it.
That's awesome.
Okay,
Our city is extraordinarily good at looking for outside sources of money, grant money within the police department, fire department. Fire department's looking at a safer grant. So yeah, we're very, very good at public works, getting money for road repairs. We're very, very good at tapping outside resources for monies for projects in the city. So all of our staff should be commended for that.
And you make a
Yes.
good point too, Mr. Johnson. You know, when you know this stuff, like when I take the notes on here, I like to share it on social media and stuff because that stuff needs to circulate, and we'll share it on the Forest Park, our Forest Park Facebook group that Rich and I have. But you know, share this stuff, share the information as many ways as you can because they do need to know about it, and I think that'll also help and kind of buzz, get some buzz going too.
Yeah.
One
right,
thing
you
I
guys.
wanted to ask, and we can answer this in our next meeting, is as we bring forth these initiatives, like I'm so happy to hear about, Mortar and Black Achievers. I think there's some, that's the onset of creating a potential ecosystem, right? For a population that we're trying to get connected with Forest Park. What are we doing as far as marketing our city on a larger scale? Like what is Forest Park trying to be known for? When you drive through Blue Ash, they have not only signage, but signage about what they want to be known for. And so I know that's a larger question, but I think that this commission should really examine that because that's going to be critical for who we're trying to be known for going forward. I also would encourage us. I'm sorry, I got a 4-year-old back here. I also would encourage us looking at how we can make Forest Park a tech destination. I just read about a lady today who is only 35 years old, and she closed a deal in Jackson, Mississippi, 12 acres to create a tech hub. And I thought it was a fascinating story. But I think we need to look at that as well. How can Forest Park, we already have strong light manufacturing. Can we do something in the tech space? And then lastly, what are we marketing ourselves as? So those are just some things to think about as we press forward with developing a strong ecosystem for small business, economic development in Forest Park.
I think the answer to that though is this thing that keeps floating and we really haven't, to our chagrin perhaps, but have not really formally done so, is the strategic plan. I mean, that's
5-year vision.
that's how it drives and everything, it builds off that thing.
You're
So
talking about the 5-year vision plan?
Mhm.
That we
The-
talked, 5-year vision plan? We talked about sometime early this year,
Yes,
mid-year.
I think so. I think that's the one.
Okay. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, October 28th. And I assume unless something changed, it'll be another Zoom meeting, Paul?
That's correct, Ed. We're going to continue with Zoom meetings as long as council is continuing to meet virtually. I
Well, I think
believe
that has
they've made.
And the Civil Service Commission has been meeting in the council chambers.
I
Last two meetings.
I understand. I think, and we can discuss it at the next meeting, but the next meeting for sure will be virtual.
Okay. All right. I think that should do it, huh? Okay, everybody's shaking their head. Yes, okay. Thank you all for attending and for your participation, and we'll see you all, if not before, on October 28th. Same venue, Zoom meeting.
Thank you, everybody.